Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For anybody who hasn't seen one of these before, I tend to do anime reviews once a week. I pick a specific anime, I watch a few episodes, and I review the episodes that I watched, especially since this is my first time going through said anime. In this case, we started God of High School this weekend. We watched the first 3 episodes, and I am already in love with the show. If you guys want to catch me watching these live, I'm going to be watching them every Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Link will be in the description to my Twitch channel. I hope you guys will come check it out with me. But as far as the show itself, so far, first off, the opening is amazing. It's got a top tier opening. I absolutely love it. I jam out to it every time I hear it. Our 3 protagonists are okay. They're all a little goofy. So far, my favorite character is Dewi. He's got the most fleshed out motivation, and he is very high on the moral high ground. He's respectful, and he takes care of what he has to take care of. There's actually a big scene in episode 3 that really got me with him, and he was kind of sold to me after that. But let's start off with episode 1. So at the beginning of episode 1, we see a bunch of businessmen chilling, getting massages on the beach, and they make a phone call to another executive, and they start talking about exposing him for stuff that he did, and we don't really get a whole lot of context there because as soon as this happens, as soon as they hang up, they see a big shadow, they look up, and the scene just cuts off. And we see the person they were talking to on the phone, and he gets up and he looks at a giant mural. And it's a beautiful mural, amazing artwork, but if you look at it, it looks like a bunch of different gods from different religions. We got the nine-tailed fox, we've got the Monkey King, tortoise, dragon. It's a pretty interesting mural considering, the things that happened in this series. But then we actually see the island that these guys are on, and there's a giant handprint over the island. Like, the island was completely covered in trees, and now it's just completely flattened. But that's all we see about that. It actually jumps over, and now we get to meet our protagonists, Jin Mori, or Mori Jin. I'm a heathen, I know. I'm watching the dub, so they refer to him as Mori Jin. I'm sorry, I know. But truth is, I listened to both. I listened to the main character in both languages, and I actually didn't like either of his voices, so I just flipped the coin and kind of went with it. But we see a flashback of Mori with his grandfather, and I guess he had to leave his grandfather to go to school, and he didn't want to. But as the dream ends, he wakes up looking like a total goofball, realizing that he smashed his alarm clock, and he's late for the God of High School tournament. So the next 2 or 3 minutes are him rushing out of his door on a bike, kind of flying off a hill. We get to meet another of our main characters, Dewi. Dewi Han. He's working, just works a regular day job, but he ends up having to leave because he's going to join the tournament too. And we also get to meet Mirai. She talks to a bunch of karate, a giant karate club, and asks them for directions because she's lost on where to go. Now, the first half of the episode kind of shows us what kind of characters these are, and morally, they're all great characters, but they're all pretty goofy. As Mori's, riding, trying not to be late to the God of High School tournament, he sees a woman get her purse snatched, an old lady, and his brain automatically fabricates this whole tale about how she needs money for somebody's surgery, and he's able to keep up with a motorcycle on his bike, trying to catch, the thief. And as this happens, he ends up going off a hill and hits Mira in the face with the bike. Not only does she eat it, she gets pissed at him for breaking her glasses, but when she finds out that he's after, the robber that stole from the old lady, she goes with him. I actually have a nice clip of what happened. They go after him. They use her wooden sword to kind of help steer. They pass Dewi on the way. It looks like Dewi's just, ignoring what's going on, but he's on social media seeing what's happening. There's actually somebody live streaming everything that's going on. And as they approach the thief, Mira tries to jump off the bike to get at him and goes face first into a sign. The guy laughs as he realizes what happened, turns back just in time for Dewi to punch him off the motorcycle. It was wild. And I was like, alright, so he's a beast. I was like, you know how hard you gotta hit somebody to rip them off of a motorcycle? Either way, that's how they all met. They all talked. They introduce themselves once they get to the God of High School tournament. Now, we actually get the explanation of what the God of High School tournament is. It is a all-styles martial arts tournament where all weapons are allowed, and the winner gets to basically have one wish granted, whatever they want, within the power of the association that put it together. All the fighters were found by different commissioners of the association and basically brought in. It starts off really, really cool. As soon as they kick off, they bring all the fighters in, and they just like, by the way, it started, bam. And it starts off with a battle royal. We actually get to see a lot of really, really cool fight scenes kick off real fast. Everybody was injected with nanomachines and have like this wristband that not only tracks their vitals, but basically gives them like a level based on their physical attributes. So everybody starts going after lower level people, and then bam, this stuff happens. We have a Tai Chi master whooping ass. Mira starts beating people with a wooden sword. Davey just punches a bunch of dudes, and then we get to see Jin do some crazy kick combos. It all looks fantastic. The animation is amazing. And then this happens. They get a call that this guy's ready. I'm going to butcher this name. Mansuk Dang. Basically, this guy was a criminal. He was in a recuperation facility? No. What's the word I'm looking for? Basically, he was in jail. And they let him join the tournament for whatever reason. I guess because he's strong and they wanted him to put on a show. So he jumps in, he starts beating people's ass. Mira, he tries to go after Mira because he thinks she's cute. Ends up taking Mira's sword. Mind you, his arms are bound. He has them in restraints on his chest. And he's just fighting with his feet. And he takes Mira's sword with his toes. Well, Mori sees him messing with Mira and he don't like that. So he goes and starts fighting with this dude. Manages to take the sword away. As they're fighting, Mori slips. This dude knocks Mori into a wall. Mori's like, oh man, cool. But he jumps back in, gets ready to fight. And the episode ends with them like locking legs in the air. We don't see what happens. But that was the end of episode 1. We got to meet our characters. We got to get some awesome fight scenes. And then we jump into episode 2. So episode 2 starts off with the aftermath of the battle royal. Mira, who can't see because her glasses are destroyed, thought Mori was the other guy and literally jumped up and snapped his neck. So, turns out that the nanomachines they were all injected within are super advanced and can basically recover you from any injury. So they literally told everybody to go all out. So she literally snapped his neck, and the nanomachines were able to put it back together. Now, after the first day of the preliminaries, because this is all just a setup, the preliminaries, whoever wins here gets to actually go to the real God of High School tournament and represent Seoul. After the tournament, they're all walking home together because they all live in the same direction. Wasn't really intended to happen. And we get a little peek into the minds of the protagonists. They start talking about, why they're entering the tournament. Mori wants to fight strong opponents. He wants to get stronger. But apparently he also wants a rematch against the commissioner that got him into the tournament because apparently he beat Mori's ass. this blonde Gin Ichimara looking guy. Davey has a sick friend, so he needs money. That's all he wants. And then Mira's sword dojo. I guess her family runs a sword dojo. They're kind of going under. They're not really getting a lot of students anymore, and she's trying to help, keep them afloat. She's supposed to be finding another successor to their sword style. Well, while she's talking, Mori takes her wooden sword and is like looking at it, and he sees, it's been through a lot. Well, he's a dumbass, and as she tries to get it back, he accidentally throws it over a bridge into the water, and she slaps the dog shit out of him. She gets completely serious and just tells him to leave. And the next scene we see is, flashbacks of her talking to her father about the sword style and their dojo while she's in the lake looking for the wooden sword. And as her phone dies, Mori shows up with a flashlight and he jumps in to help her. She apologizes, they start getting along. Then we see Dewi with a big ass projector light on top of the bridge. He's like, I borrowed this from work. Let's find the sword. And then the next day, they're all at the tournament. She's cleaning off his sword. Mori's sleeping. Dewi's just chilling, listening to music. And we get to actually talk to another character This is Gamdo Go. He's the Tai Chi master, and he's just chilling and meditating when Monsu Gang rolls up and immediately starts talking shit to Mori because, Mori tried to step to him. Gamdo tries to, get between them, and Monsu basically attacks, well, not necessarily attacks, but tries to intimidate him by swinging at him. And as he, steps forward from the air pressure, Mori gets up and catches him. And he's like, bro, you can't drop your guard around him. And after a little exchange, they all separate. Gamdo goes up to Mori, thanks him for that. And Mori tries to warn him. He's like, this dude is strong. And because they look at the now tournament bracket, it's not a battle royal anymore. And Gamdo Go's first fight is against Monsu Gang. And this fight is something fierce. Gamdo starts off and he tells Monsu Gang, take your arms out of the restraints. You're going to regret it if you don't. And Monsu Gang's just like, whatever, let's go. They start fighting, and we get to see a little bit of what Gamdo Go's able to do. He hits him with this crazy ass punch, and I love the way they animate. The impact of all the blows. He hits him with this I think he called it a rabbit punch, and then he hit him with a crazy ass combo, which is beating the ever-living shit out of this dude. And he sends him flying into the stands. And once he sends him flying into the stands, he has the crowd help him up because he's having trouble standing up on his own. Because they have to be out of the ring for 20 seconds in order to, count as a loss. Other than that, the only way that fights end in this tournament is by knockout or by surrender, which becomes a big deal during this fight. Because as Gamdo goes after him again, he releases one of his arms from his restraints to block his kick. And once he releases his arm, he starts beating the ever-living shit out of Gamdo. Turns out that this guy uses a style of Taekwondo that was meant for wartime and uses some pretty dirty tactics. He was pulling his hair, he was stomping on his head, and he was just bang, 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 just beating the ever-living shit out of him. It got bad. And after, giving him a little bit of a beating, he grabs him and he's just like, ask for my forgiveness. And Gamdo's like, why would I do that? Even, all bloodied up and bruised. He's like, what does that have to do with anything? I guess this kind of has to do with Monsu Gang's actual, character. And we get to see a little bit into him as a person. But we'll get there in a second. He starts, beating on Gamdo some more. And eventually picks him up. And the guy who's refereeing is trying to get Gamdo to quit. And he's like, I'm not going to let him quit. And he's just like, I want you to ask for my forgiveness. And he grabs him by the arm and he breaks his arm. He's like, what's it going to take? I'm going to break both your arms and both your legs. He doesn't care because they can put him back together. So then he grabs him by his other arm. And mind you, he's released his other arm. I forgot to mention. And he has his foot in his back and he's doing a straight Sasuke, a curse mark Sasuke from, OG Naruto. And he breaks his other arm. And while this is all happening, all of a sudden Mori shows up, and Mori's like, that proves that your Taekwondo's the worst. And he kicks this dude in the face and sends him flying into a wall. Mori did not like watching this dude. They don't know each other, they're not friends, but he didn't like the way he disrespected him and beat his ass. In episode 1, I kind of skipped by it because it wasn't a big deal. When this guy was messing with Mira, Mori pantsed him. It was pretty silly. That's how they kind of got into it. But he noticed that his pants were really, really heavy. And they were getting in the way of his kick and they were slowing him down. So he took them off once Mori got involved with our fight. So now his arms are free. He's lost these heavy ass pants. And they immediately go to start fighting each other. Mori gets stopped by the commissioners. They immediately surround him for interfering. But this guy doesn't care. We get to see his flashback. Turns out he lost to one of the commissioners and he ended up on his knees begging for his life because he did something stupid. Then he went to train with some dude to learn a new style of martial art, but couldn't learn it because he lacked the physical ability, and the dude was just talking smack to him, and it mentally fucked him up. Well, he attacks them with this wave of darkness. It was really weird. But then jumps at Mori. Mori jumps up, and they cross legs again. and then Mori does this like crazy like spin kick. I think they call it like a triple kick, and he kicks him in the face 3 times. And next thing you know, he's behind him, and the dude feels all the impact while it's still in the air. And then Mori jumps up, smashes him to the ground, knocks him the fuck out, craters the ground he's in, and then all of a sudden Mori drops. We don't know why, and then we see what happened. We get to meet Mujin Park. He is the leader of the association that puts together the God of High School tournament, and somehow he was able to pin down Mori from the entranceway. It was pretty weird, but he basically announces that they're going to decide a punishment for Mori, and they're going to announce it the next day. Now, episode 3. Episode 3 was Episode 3, we got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to try to blow through this as fast as possible. This video is already getting really long. But it started off with some kind of cult worshipping. We see a statue of what I think is Shiva. And then they're talking about, you know, the will of God and whatnot, all kinds of craziness. But we see basically all the commissioners together talking about the fighters that are no longer, you know, in the tournament. Gamdo Go is destroyed. His body's all fucked up. They have him in like an ICU tank trying to repair him. Monsu Gong is all messed up after Mori beat him. And now they have to decide on Mori's punishment. We see Mori, you know, working out a little bit. But then we jump back to the tournament. Because it's Mira's turn to fight. Now, I'm going to mess up some of these names. I'm sorry. Please, just bear with me. Mira fights Mession Ma. Basically the pro wrestler girl. And she actually warns Mira to switch weapons because a wooden sword's not going to work on her. Turns out she's an undefeated pro wrestling champion, and she's trained her body to be as hard as iron. Well, we got a nice little exchanges between the two of them. Ends up looking really cool. Like I said, the animation is top tier. But then Mira actually tries to do like a sword technique, and she blocks it with just her hand. And she ends up hitting Mira with, you know, quick combination, and knocks Mira's sword away. And Mira points out that she's like, wooden sword or no sword, I can still wield a blade. And she, I guess her sword style actually has unarmed sword techniques, which is actually something that most sword styles don't have. Believe it or not, I've actually looked into a few sword styles. But she ends up turning herself into a blade, and with just her fingertips and air pressure, slices Mession. I'm terrible with names. Slices the wrestler's chest open, and then does another attack. And though she blocks, the wind slices her arms open, and she's done. Mori's watching on TV, and he's just like, I can't wait to fight her. Now, the head of the commissioner, the head of the administration, and one of the commissioners come in, and basically Mori's punishment is he has to fight this dude. If he wins, he's reinstated into the tournament. At first, Mori's like, I don't want to fight you. I want to fight the blonde guy because he's the one that, you know, I need payback. And he's like, by the way, I'm stronger than that guy. And then he punches Mori in the face. And Mori's like, yeah, do it again. Mori's something special. I'll give you my final thoughts in at the end. Mira and Dewi are walking home. They start talking about the tournament. They start talking about what happened to Mori. And Mori shows up eating a banana. And he's got a bag full of fruit. I guess the leader of the administration, Mujin gave it to him. Now, while they were going over this meeting of what to do with Mori, I guess he saw the name of his grandfather and knew his grandfather's name. So I guess he knew in reality who Mori was. But he gave him a bunch of fruits and said, you know, this will charge you up. But we see him talking to one of the other administrators, and she says, you broke those out. If a normal human eats those, we don't know what's going to happen. But I guess he wants to prove who Mori Jin really is. So that's really interesting. I know who he really is, because that's been spoiled for me. I'm not going to mention it now, for anybody who hasn't already watched it. But we see Mori at home, you know, getting ready for bed, and he starts coughing up blood. He ends up collapsing on the floor, just spewing blood all over the floor. The next day, we meet up with Dewi, and we get to see, you know, Dewi's motivation for fighting. He's got a sick friend who's, I believe, is dying of cancer. He works all his extra jobs to help his friend's sister pay for his medical bills. and we see him working another job. Originally, we saw him working at a convenience store. Now we see him working in an office taking out trash. And these douchebags, yes, I'm calling them douchebags, they try to mess with him. They actually talk smack about his friend, basically saying, we hear he's about to kick the bucket. You know what? We didn't like him anyway. One of these dudes splashes their drink on Davey, and rather than get mad, rather than get emotional, Davey just takes it as, picks up the trash. It's like, you know what? I'll take this out for you. And this is when I really got won over by Davey, seeing that even though these people are trying to provoke him, you know, he's staying professional. He's doing what he's got to do for his friend, and that's pretty amazing. But back at the tournament, it's Davey's turn to fight, and he fights this dude whose name I'm going to also I'm just gonna call him Beck because that's his last name. And Beck is a genius. Beck is super smart. He studied the entirety of Davey's martial art because Davey fights using karate. He knows exactly how he's going to move. And at the beginning of the fight, it's very, very one-sided. He blocks a bunch of Davey's attacks and hits him at different parts of his body that he left open because of the natural flow of karate. And he's just like, I know the style. I've studied it very much. It's been very helpful to me. We get this really cool exchange as he tries to attack Davey, and Davey starts dodging his attacks, and Davey's starting to learn his timing. But the guy slips. And rather than attack him as he's falling, Davey tries to help him up, and the dude hits him in the head. And again, we get to see the kind of person Davey is, because Davey's like, what kind of person would attack you when you slipped? That's cowardly. But Davey, he gets up, and they resume fighting, and he hits Davey with this crazy-ass attack, where all you see is him just stab forward, but in reality, he hit him in 12 different spots on his body, attacking his internal organs. And he said that he shouldn't be able to move after this. Well, Davey says screw that, and forces his body to move, thinking about his friend. And he had a conversation with his friend where his friend said, you know, life is a fight. If you want to live, then you need to keep fighting. And he's like, why should I quit fighting? And thinking about that, he picks himself up and does this crazy ass combination of attacks and basically hits this dude with the Digimon Sovereign. I know, bad joke for anybody that doesn't know. Basically, the Digimon Sovereign from Digimon are based on 4 Chinese gods, you know, north, south, east, west. The turtle, the tiger, the phoenix, and the dragon, with the golden dragon in the center. And he hits this dude with the turtle that literally shatters his weapon. Then he hits him with, he calls it the Scarlet Bird, but it's basically supposed to be the Phoenix, to disorient them. And then he hits him with a ridiculous combination that was supposed to be the White Tiger. And he was going to finish him with the dragon, but the dude passes out. It was a crazy combination. It looked absolutely mad. But now, we go on, after that's the end of the tournament for the day, and we go on to the last match, which is supposed to be Mori versus this commissioner dude. This green-haired guy with glasses. Except they're all waiting, and Mori's nowhere to be found. We get a glimpse of Mori still on the ground, still bleeding out. And we see a bunch of flashes of images. I guess this is all going through Mori's head. We see a dragon, we see hundreds of people, and we see somebody holding a staff. Again, I know what it's supposed to be. But he wakes up, and he ends up jolting there, and within a few minutes, he's there. Everybody's like, okay, cool, he showed up. Mujin Park is smiling, knowing that he's okay now, because it proves his theory. And their match starts, and because of the difference in level, they give Mori a handicap, and basically said he just has to knock his opponent down. Well, something's changed in Mori, most likely because of the fruit. But as soon as the fight starts, in an instant, we don't even see it, he's already at the door and he takes off his glasses. He's like, we don't want to break these. And then he just pushes him down, and the fight's done. Now everybody in the crowd's like, what the hell just happened? It's over, stop messing with us. Dude gets back up, tries to attack Jin, and Jin hits him and sends him flying. And Jin even points out that his body feels hot, it doesn't feel right. Well, the commissioner gets pissed, and he just attacks Mori with full power, and black smoke comes out of his eyes and his mouth, and this thing appears and starts attacking Mori. Swings the scythe at him, Mori manages to dodge it, but then he grabs him and slams him into the ground. Well, the other commissioners grab him up, they stop the fight. And Mujin Park walks up and he's just like, you just lost 3 months of pay and you know why. Mujin goes up to Jin and he's just like, you're reinstated into the tournament. I hope you had fun. And Jin's just like half passed out. He's like, I'm so hungry. And he's like, I want a banana. And the fact that they ended the episode on that was pretty funny. You guys who have watched the series, you know why. So far, the series is pretty great. As far as Mori, he's kind of like a Goku mixed with a Gon, which is funny because they're already similar. He wants to fight all the strongest, but he's such a goofball. Dewi is, a sunshine child with a fist of iron. I love him to death. And Mira, she's got a chip on her shoulder, but she's pretty cool, and I like the way she presents herself, and her fighting style is dope. So that's it for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry this was a longer one. Again, I had to try and get all my thoughts together. If you guys want to see my reactions live, I will be checking this out again. Like I said, Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Link in the description to my Twitch. We have a lot of fun. We all get to talk about it. But that is it from me, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video. Later.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning.